Scott blinked his eyes open. His heart was racing, but the room was quiet. No domes, no cribs, no paddles, just his room, posters on the wall, his old soccer trophies on the shelf, the faded glow in the dark stars still stuck to the ceiling from when he was a kid. Sunlight poured in through the window, warming his legs under the blanket. He looked down. His pajama shorts were damp. Beneath them, he wore his overnight protection, the pull-on kind his mom always picked up for him at the pharmacy. There wasn't a nickname for them, no baby talk, no good nights or special underwear. Just reality. They were what they were. Something that kept his bed dry when his body didn't cooperate. Scott took a deep breath and let it out slowly. It was all a dream, he thought, his stomach tightening and then slowly relaxing. All of it. The academy, the punishments, the humiliation, that terrifying sense of losing control. It wasn't real, just his mind playing tricks on him. Stress dreams, probably. He shifted in bed, feeling the squish of the soaked pull-on. His face flushed, but he didn't panic. He'd done this before. This was his routine. He stood up, stretched, and peeled off the wet pull-on with practiced hands. He wrapped it neatly, dropped it into the lined bin in his bathroom, and washed his hands at the sink. The mirror showed the same face he always saw. Messy hair, bleary eyes, but no different than yesterday. "Scott?" his mom called from downstairs. Her voice was casual. "Did you have a wet night?" "Yeah," he called back, his tone even. "Okay, no problem." "Pancakes are ready." Scott smiled a little. His mom never made a big deal out of it. She knew he hated when people treated him like a little kid. This was just something he dealt with, like wearing glasses or having braces back when he was younger. He got dressed in jeans and a hoodie and padded downstairs. The kitchen smelled like syrup and butter. His mom was at the stove flipping pancakes, the radio humming low in the background. The dog, Jasper, wagged his tail under the table, hoping for scraps. Scott sat down and dug into the pancakes, chatting with his mom about school, video games, and whether or not he was going to text back that girl from math class. "You've been thinking about it all week," his mom teased lightly, but in a way that didn't sting. She always kept it easy. "Maybe," Scott said, grinning but playing it cool. After breakfast, they headed to the park. Scott rode his bike with his friends all afternoon. They popped wheelies, raced down the hill, and took turns hopping the curb. He laughed so hard his stomach hurt. His worries faded with the wind against his face. For a while, he wasn't thinking about bedwetting or anything else. Just riding, just being outside. They stopped for ice cream at the corner stand before heading home, sweaty and tired, but happy. On the way back, his mom stopped at the grocery store. They walked the aisles like always. Milk, bread, frozen pizza, snacks for school lunches. Nothing awkward, nothing forced. When they reached the personal care section, his mom picked up a pack of the overnight pull-ons. She checked the size label without making a face, then dropped them into the cart along with the shampoo and toothpaste. "Still good with this kind?" she asked, her voice flat and normal, just like asking about cereal. "Yeah," Scott said, keeping his tone casual. "They work." She nodded. "All right, if you ever want to try something else, let me know. No pressure." "I might have to soon," Scott muttered, glancing at the package. "If I get much taller, these things aren't going to fit." His mom smiled, but it wasn't a teasing smile. It was understanding. "If that happens, we'll find something that does. It's not a big deal." They kept walking. She didn't make it weird. She didn't hover. By the time they got to the checkout, the pull-ons were just another item in the bag. They talked about what movie to watch that weekend and whether Scott wanted to apply for the part-time job at the comic book store. That night after dinner, his mom knocked on his bedroom door. "Hey," she said, leaning casually against the frame. "You all set for the night?" Scott sat on his bed, scrolling through his phone. "Yeah, I'm good." "Cool, just checking. I know you've got your routine." He nodded. "I already put one on." "Okay." She paused for a second, but didn't push. "Let me know if you need more. We can pick up extras next week if you want." "I will," he said. His mom smiled softly. "You're handling this better than a lot of people would, you know." Scott looked at her for a second, then back at his phone. "Thanks." She nodded and backed away, letting him have his space. No drama, no lectures, just normal life. Scott finished scrolling, set his phone down and adjusted the pull-on under his sweatpants. It wasn't his favorite part of his day, but it wasn't the worst either. It was just something he managed, like brushing his teeth or setting his alarm. He climbed into bed, pulled the blanket up over his chest, and stared at the ceiling for a while. This was a good day, he thought, closing his eyes. He drifted off, peaceful. Then he blinked awake again. White ceiling, soft humming lights, thick diaper, crib bars. It was still the academy. It had always been the academy.